Starcraft scene that really rose up there. A lot of the players, really like Starcraft, and I was there, and I was always like, everyone come to the MSL finals and all that good stuff. And they're all just a bunch of really awesome guys who would go down to the academic end on Friday, Saturday night, and they would play on the computer or on the school computer network just for like hours every Friday and Saturday night. And to be honest, none of them were particularly good. I'd probably say that they were D or D minus IC Cup level players when they started playing. But because they were all the same skill level, the games were all really fun and really even, and then they would all get together and watch these pros play, and then they would all get together and talk about it. And whenever they would seek out advice or seek out some way of improving, they would just bring it back to this group. And I think that is so important, just to have a nice, small, niche little community. And I mean, to be honest, I have a pretty tiny community of people who I chat a lot with. Like, for instance, my brother, I chat with Jinro, I chat with Nazgul on occasion. And it's just fun to have a group of people who are constantly enthusiastic about the game and keep it fresh, and you're always trying to one-up each other. So in terms of practice, if you have a buddy, trying to one-up your buddy will be a big motivation in itself.
And how would you say, for players who are trying to improve or starting off or in mid-level or any level really, how would you suggest that they keep their engines hot during the downtime?
Don't stress about keeping your engines hot. Take a break, take it easy, Sure, you can watch videos a little bit. If you want to play StarCraft 1 for fun, I think that's fine. But, I mean, honestly, 3-4 weeks of downtime isn't going to be the biggest deal in the universe. I don't think. This is going to sound weird, but play Minesweeper.
I love
play
that
Minesweeper.
game.
Yeah, and if you really work on trying to play that game quickly and clear a level very, very fast, you actually significantly improve your mouse control.
Oh, I didn't
It's
even
really
think of that.
Nice.
Also,
yeah, because you have to.
oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
No, you're the one. You're the interviewee. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, that's right. Don't you dare. What are we talking about? Oh yeah, just because the boxes are so small and you have to be clicking so precisely, or else you get that instant negative feedback of losing the whole level. It really, really trains you to be very precise with your mouse. And I actually did a lot of that in high school, playing Minesweeper, and that's really how I got my mouse control pretty fine-tuned.
And what about QXC's little toy?
Oh, yeah, QXC's build trainer. I think that is great. Oh, my computer actually is shutting down. What is going on? Sorry, my computer just went haywire. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I think my computer might die at some point. Oh well. Well, my video at the very least crashed. But I am back now. Yeah, I think QXC's map trainer is really helpful. Definitely if you want to get some builds sorted out. I mean, like, one thing that I don't say enough is that for me, doing the daily is probably just as educational for me as it is for everyone else. I remember I did a recent daily about QXC's map trainer, and of course, for any of you who don't know what either of us are talking about, the famous American player QXC made a map where it has a timer in the top right. And you start out, and it's just you on the map. It's a custom map. And, of course, you just open this up in the editor and hit test, and it tests it and it loads it up. And if you hit Shift-1, it resets it to Protoss. And if you hit Shift-2, it resets it to Terran. And if you hit Shift-3, it resets it to Zerg. So, for instance, if I'm trying to do a Dark Templar rush, I can play it for 5 minutes and go, oh, you know what? I feel like I could get DTs faster if I got this pylon before that second geyser. And then you hit Shift-2, and immediately you're restarting the game. So no need to exit and re-enter, because a lot of people don't want to test games by themselves because it's just a little bit cumbersome, and it's a little bit lonely and not quite fast-paced enough. But I think that is an excellent, excellent tool, and I did a daily on it showing how it could be used and how to think about readjusting builds, and I actually, in the process, got a whole bunch of great ideas for my own play to be like, oh, hell, maybe I could try to work this in here. Maybe I could actually get Zealot leg speed right after a Dark Templar rush. So now I want to start trying to do that. And because there's no one else to play against, you can kind of say, okay, well, in a perfect macro situation, I actually can support exactly 5 gateways with what I'm trying to do. And that's generally a little bit tougher to approximate when you're in an intense situation, so definitely like that quite a bit. I would take your advice, Elitists, and I would play on that map.
Actually, Well, I played on that map for a little bit. I spent like 45 minutes trying to figure out how to split because I can't seem to do it.
Yeah, it's just super powerful and has like so many uses.
Okay, and another thing I wanted you to let yourself elaborate on, because I know you've been talking about it a little bit here and there in your shows, but I know you've probably wanted a platform to say, I really wanted to get into this, and that is, you said one of the biggest gaps between lower level players and higher level players is these tiny, tiny little things, like the million and one little things. I know you've, well, I don't know, but I would think that you've been kind of referencing to it in a lot of little things, so I thought you might want to get a platform about it.
Yeah, I mean, too often people just think that if they have the trick in life, they will succeed. And that's actually sort of spread a lot, I mean, in math class, how do you solve this problem? Well, here's the trick to factoring polynomials. Everything is presented as a trick. And everything is presented as being as easy as the trick. And that's just such total bullshit, like, people, the trick to weight loss is this and that. No, the trick to weight loss is exercising a lot, and that's it. So, I mean, with StarCraft, too often people will look at a build order and say, oh, I saw Day 9, he did a daily about Mutalisks, I guess I just need to get Mutalisks and then expand and get Roaches, and then I'll win. And they'll do it naively, and they'll do it without thinking, and when that doesn't work, they'll go, oh man, well, I watched this other game that Sen played where he opened up Mass Infestor, and then he went Zerglings after that. Oh, let me do that build. And then they do it, and it works a little bit, and it doesn't work. And then they say, game's probably imbalanced, and that's their conclusion, But to be honest, what really makes a build work is by kind of like forcing it to work. And as an example, I want to take a tournament that I had to prep for, WCG 2005, on the map Paranoid Android. This is in Brood War. And on this map, it is a very, very small map, 96 by 96. I wanted to get an expansion up, and I was having so much trouble just at the opening stages of the game. I had this build worked out that worked great in the mid-game, but because the positions were so close, my opponent could bunker rush me really, really, really easily. But I didn't want to give up this early build because it worked so well in the later stages of the game. So, so this is what I eventually worked out. So I would send my scouting overlord up to his base, and I would pull it back, so it was at the cliff, so if a Marine started shooting, I could pull back, but I constantly watched his SCV line with that overlord. And then I would look at, let's see, and then I would send my second overlord to the path in between where there was a small bridge that joined his natural expansion to my natural expansion. This little tiny narrow bridge.
Yeah,
and again,
Paranoid Android looks a lot like Scrap Station.
Yeah, it looks very Scrap Station-like, as a matter of fact. So if any of you have not seen Paranoid Android, definitely look it up so you know what I'm talking about. But on this narrow bridge, then I would keep my second overlord over there. And this was the setup that I would do. Around 13 food, to 13 to 16 food, I would keep a hawk eye on his SCVs, and if I saw any of them leave, I would select exactly 9 of my drones, and I would right-click on his mineral patch, so my drones would be bunching up and be sent straight away until I got to the till I got to my side of this thin bridge. And remember, my second overlord is planted there, and this was the big key. I needed to float my overlord towards his marines, because when I would have my drones drill across the bridge, he wouldn't be able to do a regular attack move because the overlord would get shot by the marine instead of the drones. I would absorb all these hits and delay the marine, because if he wanted to move the marine towards my expo, he had to right-click move. He couldn't attack-click move, and that glitched his AI against my drones. And with all this going on, with planning that second overlord so the marine would take a few shots at it, planning the first overlord, looking there at 13 to 16 food, great! Now I finally can begin going into the mid-stages of the game, where you see the normal stuff, like, oh, he gets an expansion now, and he gets his lurkers now. But it was all those little things of just overlord positioning that most people think, okay, well, they're just used for vision. But when you're in a situation where you're in such a thin... there's such a thin chance that you will end up defending, you need to be more creative. So for me, it was trying to use the overlord to take hits from that marine to delay it from getting to the bunker. So, I mean, that is a really, semi-long-winded example, but that really goes to show you that if you just have a build that feels pretty good in some circumstances, your goal should be to try to make it work, not to abandon it in hopes of finding a better trick.
That's a good idea. That's great. There you go. There's one for the record books. I tossed this out to listeners, and I got a question for you from a listener. And that is, it looks like it's a bit of a psychological question. And I know how you're you're the closest thing to the Starcraft psychologist, I think. You should be like the first Starcraft sports psychologist or something.
I'd be down.
So when you make a simple mistake at the start of a game, what do you do to recover from that so it's not always at the back of your mind?
That's an interesting one.